Hey there! I am on location again at the Vashon Marina painting Mike Murray's boat. It's not a commission, it's just I liked his boat and he said, sure, you can paint it. So I'm doing the same sort of two value thing, blocking in darks and lights. This took me a lot longer than the Rob's Lagoon painting because, well, the proportions of the boat, I have a feeling Mike might want to buy this painting, and having proportions to be proud of is, I think crucial. If someone has a really amazing car or a boat, you want to try to really catch what's cool about it rather than doing some whimsical interpretation, which could work out great, but I'm just this is how I'm approaching it. And you can see I still need to get some of the kind of the shadows in the water. That's not much there, like that one mast there on this boat. It's got to come down, but I'm pretty much there. I'm not going to do too much more in this back corner here. A little bit suggesting some of those verticals of the masts in the background, but this is good enough for now, and I think I've got a basic good value shape structure going. And it's a little confusing, it's not totally readable, but it's good enough for me to have for me it's kind of like a good outline, and as long as I can understand it, then that is helpful. Okay, so yeah, it's 90 degrees just about, and luckily I have this umbrella, and there's a breeze off the water coming from that away, and sometimes the waves come and rock around and you're like, am I getting dizzy? Oh no, it's just the dock is moving beneath me. Okay, before I continue with painting, I want to talk to you about just a couple things here, like what do I do at this point here? What I like to do is dive in right to the most obvious, strongest thing in the image. And one of those, I think it's the black hull of the boat and how it does that shadow down there. And I think the black hull of the boat is kind of the spine of the whole painting. So choosing that color, and what I did was mix you can't really see it here, but it's a deep, dark purple, almost black. And then the skylight, always really important, but where we're seeing the skylight is like in the water. You see that blues in the water. So I mixed kind of an ultramarine, which when it goes over this yellow is going to read a little more blue-green, like is kind of what's happening there, though in the camera it looks more ultramarine than blue-green. And then the next thing would be the contrast to the black is that beige, really light, almost yellow, orangish, light beige, light yellow ochre on the hull, on the top deck of that boat. And then there's the red sails. And so all these colors here are pre-mixed. I put a little dollop of liquid in there. I'm going to mix it in, and that'll help it to dry quick. But this is like where I just boom, 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 lay in big shapes, big dynamic statements just to get everything coming and going. Because right now we've got a bunch of, blue, green, and yellow all over the place. So it's time to get some other kind of color relativity going on. All right. Okay, so this is how it's coming. You can see that I put in the dark hull and sky color. And boy, look how ultramarine blue that's reading it in the video, but it's kind of a dull cyan in the actual painting. So I'm glad I made it into more of a turquoisey feeling, but I'm really liking what the sky's doing. You see how that informs the light, and then also the juxtaposition between the hull and the top of the deck. There's that's like, okay, clear sunlight, and then no sunlight, or later on there'll be reflected light. But notice that, okay, so I filled in big areas, and but I'm also trying to bring it all along at the same time. So notice, like, back here, this line is the beach line back there, and that's light on the beach. And notice here that that's just about almost disappeared because of the light. The light keeps changing, so I have to be careful to not chase the light. I'm going to have to commit to where my light source is, and just although time passes, I have to start interpreting it with what I have, rather than how the continual change is happening. I started on the deck here as well, getting this tone in here, I'm just going to keep pulling stuff along. So that the whole picture is coming along at the same time. Some people paint where they really obsess on one thing until they finish it and then they move on. That's not how I paint or how I teach to paint, because I think that it's something you want to all bring along at the same time, and it's not, it's just a different way of doing things, and it has advantages and disadvantages. So, but the next thing I'm going to do is, there's this kind of deep, dark violet of the boat. And then if you look over there, you can almost, like, what's related to that boat? Well, to me, it's sort of the shadows from the trees and the shore. So I won't do as intense a dark, but I'm going to relate some of these dark violets in the background. And that'll be kind of a, create some relative harmony, and, just keep going from there. But pushing light, shape, edge. I really like the shapes in the water, and the colors are very raw and not dealt with, but it's it's coming along. Okay. All right, here's where I'm at right now. First, I want to say there's an old quote. What is it? Only madmen and Englishmen go out in the noonday sun. Speaking of explorers in Africa who would do that. You'd have to add plein air artists as well. So I have an umbrella here, which is nice, but then I've had to make umbrellas for my sandaled feet because they were getting fried. So there we go. And there's always something. There's always some sort of weird improvisation you have to do. All right, where was I? So I call this the paint by numbers phase, where in some ways you're trying to cover the yellow, the ground color, but also I notice that I'm not obsessive about covering it completely, and the colors that are put on top of it are influenced by what's beneath. So I'm trying to create a layered richness of color resonance. But still, it's like I'm trying to get it so it does. Now, when I look at this, what I have going, there's the unfinished areas. I should cover those up, because there's no bright yellow down there, because that's reflecting, actually, just this is reflecting the top part of the boat right here, and that's going down in the water right there. So it's like the top of the cabin. That we'd be seeing. So to be more realistic, I would tone it down. It'd be a darker version of that down in the reflections. Reflections are almost always darker than what they're reflecting. And but then there's also like, wow, that's really cool to have that dynamic there, and then relating to what's going on up there, which is undone too. So sometimes it's good to step away and say, do I want to leave something to create kind of a dynamism that's not just like photorealism or something. I find photorealism sort of boring because take a photo. So, but like to me, the exciting thing is interpreting stuff. So, I'm frying out here. You don't want to die painting a painting, but I still am happy with how it's going here. All right, here it is, just about finished. The shadows are starting to get long. The day is coming to an end. The sun is in my face. And I think I've got it to where I want it to be. Let's pull it out of here and get it in the sunlight. That'll change the appearance of it. See how much worms are going. And yeah, I'm kind of fried. I'm not even sure what to say at this point. I guess the main thing is, the key thing is like, what do you put in and what do you leave out? And there's so much detail I'm leaving out in terms of like all the guidelines and ropes and the anchor and the hoses that are on the side of the dock, and it just goes on and on and on, all these details, and so a lot of it is just what do you want in and what do you want out, decluttering things, but then putting enough stuff in to really kind of get the sense that you want. So there we go. I might work on it a little bit more, but probably not too much. It's I think pretty good. All right. Bye.